welcome to Wrestling Sheet Radio. I'm your host, ProWrestlingSheet.com editor-in-chief, Ryan Satin, here with my co-host, Jamie Iovine.
Hey, guys.
I don't know where Eli is. I'll be honest, I'm getting real bad at keeping track with Eli when he tells me, you and Eli, like, I kind of just feel like, yeah, that's fine, because I don't mind the two camera setup anymore, so you guys are like, I'm not going to be there. Go, okay, cool, and then I forget the reason why. So I wrote him, like, 15 minutes ago, and I was like, hey, are you coming in today? And he was like, nope.
He's off on some mountain.
Yeah, probably. That's why he's been. All his adventures are what's going to cause him to miss out on the Limp Bizkit concert,
but
man.
Here's the thing, man. Like, he doesn't roll with that many people.
No, he does. You'd be surprised at how many people Eli rolls with. He's got a whole Venice crew.
I'm just saying, like, a lot of things can, like for instance, he just mentioned recently that he almost ran afoul of an accident on a mountain, like almost got lost or something. Yeah. Which, you know, I was watching. It's not the same thing, but I was watching Murder Mountain. Even though it's not it's
not near where it's not in the same vein,
but still
a dangerous mountain nonetheless.
Mountain lions, man. You know, that's it.
Dude, how crazy is Murder Mountain?
It's great.
Did you finish the whole thing?
I didn't, because I got to be honest, it kind of fell apart in the ending for me. Because you know what? I needed another story other than that one kid's.
I forgot that you and I were texting about it when we were talking about the people complaining about like how they got to go legal.
Yeah,
and we're like, no, we're really cool with it going legal now.
Like, oh, you're not gonna like cut corners with my weed. I'm all right with that.
Okay, so the biggest story of the week, obviously, was Roman Reigns returning to WWE. We talked about it briefly last week on the podcast because it had just been announced that he was going to be on Raw, but now he's been there. No more speculation. Roman Reigns says...
I don't know. There was a crazy story that you apparently posted about them being via satellite.
Oh, God. I hate that fake news Instagram account. There's this fake news Instagram account that, I mean, luckily, they promote themselves as a fake news comedy wrestling account, but like not everybody who sees those images know that. So then like they're repurposing logos and tweets to make it look like there are certain headlines, but they're not even funny headlines. They're just fake news, and it's
like
frustrating.
The Onion is the least clever.
Yeah.
Or what's the wrestling equivalent? I always forget. What's of the Onion? Like it's
kayfabe news.
Yes, that's always fun.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I like the Hard Times too. The Hard Times is great for music. They have a music one like that.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh, Hard Times. If you like the Onion,
I do know Hard Times. My dad was in it a bunch back in the day. The black and white cartoons, right?
No. It's like the hardtimes.net, and it's like the Onion but for music news.
No, there was a cartoon. There was
something like that.
It was like a political cartoon almost.
That sounds familiar.
But it was like in all the Billboard magazines.
That sounds very familiar,
or
yes.
Hits magazine.
That sounds very familiar.
Anyway, going off on a tangent.
Roman Reigns, he's back. He did not, go into too much detail about his battle with leukemia. But what he did say was that he thanked everyone, obviously. He said that he's in remission, y'all. And then said the big dog is back. But he didn't really specify what that means. He did later in the show on Raw. He came out.
Had a little bit of physicality.
There's, apparently he's being promoted for upcoming events. Not live events, but more like Raw and pay-per-view, I believe. But what'd you think about it? What'd you think about Roman Reigns coming back, the announcement, all of it?
I mean, obviously, all praises due. I mean, that's always a great thing when you get something so scary. And there was no timetable of when he was coming back. I mean, did we expect him to come? We obviously we were left in the dark for a lot of the minute details of Roman's battle with leukemia, and rightfully so. It's not our business, but we didn't know if it was like there's like it's. And I'm going to go into and then I'll go into my other tangent for a little bit. But there's so many stages and different variations of this thing. So we had no idea of how serious it was and how severe or not as severe as other cases it could be. And we didn't know when he was coming back. It was such a great. It was a sigh of relief to know that, okay, it wasn't as serious to the point where he would have to be admitted to a hospital for X amount of time, which is a good thing. It's weird because people are almost like angry that it wasn't that.
You know what? It's interesting you say that because I can't tell if it's anger over the fact that it wasn't worse or if it's anger over the lack of information he put out there. And I don't think that's fair to be angry about the latter because it's like, first of all, it's his life.
Yeah.
There's no obligation to share with the world
the fact that he did
what kind of cancer he has, what stage, what specific type of leukemia. Like, he doesn't owe anybody anything.
Nothing.
So I didn't really understand the anger, the unnecessary anger. I mean, here's the thing. Wrestling fans, and I don't mind a lot of wrestling fans. I shouldn't say all wrestling fans. A lot of wrestling fans do feel entitled to a lot of information. And, you know, I've covered news for a while. I worked in one of the biggest entertainment news websites. I can't think of a time when someone announced any kind of details about going through something like leukemia where that fan base was mad that they weren't given more information. Like, that's a weird thing to me.
Yeah, I've never like, when's the last time that you I don't hear of anybody saying Magic Johnson faked HIV.
Yeah, well, the fake thing blew my mind, and I think that, okay, so obviously, for those of you maybe who have a much more clean Twitter feed than the rest of us, you maybe didn't see some of these people that were throwing accusations out like that. But I think that so from their side, what they seem to think is that
since Roman didn't show any physical signs that they saw, which was, how could they have seen? You know, there weren't cameras on him the entire time.
Also, timeline that it was only 4 months, that it was a short timeline. Also, that he was like filming a movie, that he was filming a TV show while he was gone. But these are all things that can that you don't mean anything. That you can do. He wasn't bedridden.
No,
it's that he was going through treatment.
He got a blood test. It said there are traces of leukemia in your system right now. It is not at this present time killing you right now, but it's there, and we need to watch it.
Yes,
that's what happened, and that's scary as shit.
Yeah, imagine being in his shoes. Like I heard on a wrestling radio show where they were saying they were almost saying well, he had like the good kind of it, and it's like, the good kind of leukemia? Like, are you crazy? Like, man, like, how can you say something like that? And it was almost implied that the reason it was announced at all wasn't because of Roman thinking he was going to be gone for a long time, or because Roman was scared for his life. It was because they wanted to drum up sympathy for when he returns. That's the overarching of thing I see, and I think that's such a messed up thing to say.
It's a horribly messed up thing to say, and I feel horrible for him because this is something and you kind of hit it on the head. This is the only fan base that I've ever heard of where you're given such great news, such amazing news about a guy that you may not care, or you may not like him, but you get a reaction about him, and he's a part of something that's very important in a lot of people's lives. And the fact that this guy says, "Hey, I'm not going to die today," and people meet that with some sort of doubt. I've brought this up before on the show before. I'm a survivor of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and one of the bigger things that I had after I went into remission, it lasted a little shy of a year, about 11 months. But one of the biggest things I had when I went into remission was the guilt trips that I self-imposed upon myself, because much like Roman, I didn't lose my hair. I didn't have to do chemotherapy. I didn't have to be bedridden and have feeding tubes put in me because I couldn't swallow. That didn't happen to me. And when I did go in for my radiation treatment, I would see people that were going through that. Ugh. And it was like, what makes me so special that I didn't have to go through that? And that was one of the worst things that I had to do personally. I'm not trying to compare it to what they had to go through because it's a completely different situation. But I'm saying in terms of me personally, one of the hardest things I had to come to terms with after I got better was that there are different variations. There are different types of cancers, leukemias, all sorts of different diseases. And to say that so you're Roman Reigns, you're given not a fresh lease on life, but hey, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, another chance,
and you're gonna come back. I can't imagine if I were to come back. Say I was in the public eye at some point.
You are kind of in the public eye
in some sense, yes. But say I had cancer. When I had cancer, I wasn't really in my full-time DJ career yet. So I was. And the first, like, I can't imagine what I would have thought if one of the first things, like somebody on Twitter or my Instagram comments said, "Oh, you faked it." I can't imagine that.
I also can't imagine that. Like, I was legitimately angry, and I've been getting real good at like not getting angry over people having different opinions than me, but that one like legitimately pissed me off because like I've known people that have dealt with cancer. I know you know, like and it's like are you? And I have to remember sometimes that like the fan base there are a lot of children. Yes. So maybe sometimes like some of these people are young and they're saying stupid shit because they're kids. And
they see what other people are saying.
They see what other people say. When they see someone of prominent note kind of implying that, I mean, it kind of, it does put that into people's minds, And obviously, even me, the pessimist in me, it's not that I didn't... Right when I saw it, because I have pessimistic thoughts sometimes, I knew that people were going to say that. Right when I saw it, when I saw 4 months, he's already back. I was like,
people are going to shit on
People are going to shit all over this. Like, it's not going to be this like triumphant return. Although I was very, very happy that the crowd did give him like a hero's welcome.
He paused a second. He was like, "Holy shit, are these guys going to really boo me at right?" Because do you remember that he kind of goes.
Like he's like waiting for it.
Because he pauses for a second because he thinks he kind of hurt. Because they kind of started booing when he said, "I was scared to tell you guys," but they were booing that he was scared.
Yeah,
and he kind of was like, he paused for a second because he was like, "Oh shit, are they gonna boo me like on my return after saying I don't have leukemia anymore? Like, is this really what I'm doing with my life?"
I liked he did he did a video that he posted on his Twitter page right after Raw this week, and it was funny because you know how he hugged his wife right before he went in the ring, and his mom. In the video, he's like, "Hey man, like I forgot to mention my wife and my mom. Like I was so caught up in the moment. Like they were there for me the whole entire time. Every step they've been there, they helped me." And he did a whole thing like thanking his wife and stuff, which I was like, I love that he realized right after he got off stage, like, "Oh shit,
yeah, she's front row.
She's front row. And I didn't thank her after that." But in that thing, he says also how thrown back he was by being cheered by everybody for like the first time in a while. And I was like, God, that's crazy that it's like this is the first time in a while that he's really been cheered. I'm happy that happened though. I really am, because I was worried it was going to be like a something else. I was worried,
Do you think they go back to how things used to be?
The fans?
Yeah.
I've been really wondering this. I don't know. I feel like yes. I feel
like it will.
It will. It will. It will. The second he wins the title.
Yes. I feel like okay. You're better, so are we. You want to act like everything's like how it used to be? Fine.
Oh yeah, no, because I did get a lot of like.
I was like, how long is this gonna last?
Because I did get a lot of replies when we first announced it to the Wrestling Sheet page and to me, where it was people like, very happy Roman's in remission. Don't want to see him on my TV ever again.
Happy you're alive, man, but don't need you in my wrestling.
All right, someone else who had a big week and was Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista, the return of the animal.
Yeah!
How cool was that?
Yeah,
I loved it. I saw a lot of people were like, I was like, oh, they shouldn't have dragged Ric Flair around or something like that. It's like, that was awesome. Ric Flair's a legend. Ric Flair's a legend. He can take a drag, you know, and he's not going to die from being dragged.
I love the thing that Twitter has created, even though they have no way of knowing that Bautista was actually trying to wrestle a blade away from Rick because he wanted a blade really.
Is that what they...
You haven't seen that? That's been like a common thing that like everybody was like the real bump thing because Rick really, really, really wanted a blade. And Batista's like, no.
So he drag him out of the room, take it out of his hands.
I'm surprised you haven't seen that.
No, I didn't see that.
That's been my favorite thing. Is that?
But okay, so I loved it. I think that I saw a lot of people being like, "Oh, well, is he going to be a heel?" And I didn't get that vibe. Right now,
No.
in WWE, it seems like there really isn't any heel or face.
And that would make sense if Triple H was a face.
Yeah,
but he's clearly not.
But Ric Flair almost died.
Yes.
So I think that's where the confusion comes from.
Okay, yes, there is no, don't get me wrong. There is confusion.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's kind of weird. I mean, I'm not. I guess if we're gonna, this is minutely picking at the problems with it because it was generally overall great.
Yeah.
I guess you have to. I guess we'll get an explanation. We'll get an explanation. I'm sorry. I keep hearing my.
I know they're annoying.
It's driving me
I was
nuts.
thinking the same thing while you were talking about
I'm hearing my chair
the cancer
squeak, and it
stuff.
drives
I was
me
like,
nuts.
we gotta fix these chairs.
Yeah, it's really sensitive microphones. But shit, no. Oh yes, but I guess they could have clarified what the stance was. I guess we'll get an explanation. We'll get a promo.
We got time.
And I'm guessing it's going to be. How do you cut to Triple H other than beating up Stephanie? You know, it's
yeah, totally.
Which we can't do anymore.
Yeah,
and
he's gonna have to bring up. He wouldn't answer my cell phone message. He wouldn't
I think
answer
that's
my
what
calls.
they're gonna do.
Me too.
I think because he said, "Are you paying attention to me now?" Because they definitely have to. It would make such great storyline if they brought up that why didn't you guys call me for last year?
You ghosted me last year.
Yeah,
they have to do that.
They
right?
have to.
The only thing is that all it does is promote my website basically because I broke that story on Bautista getting ghosted, which is the only reason they might not actually bring that up. They don't want people to start searching for that story or whatever. But I really
it's a great story.
I hope so, man.
It's a great story. It gives you a reason.
Totally.
It gives you a reason.
Totally. Absolutely.
And I mean, other than if that's not it, I'd be very interested to see what they, if any, that they give.
Well, I mean, you could always say that, they could script it around that without mentioning the last year thing and just say, I mentioned it in jest during the Evolution reunion, but then I called, I texted, you wouldn't answer, and then I realized you were scared of me, and you can go that route without having to actually mention they for real ghosted him last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's real. People didn't he beat up Ric Flair, but it's like, yo, if you really want to get at Daniel-san, who do you go after? Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, totally.
That gives Rocky didn't really get the gumption to go beat up Clubber Lang until Mick died.
Yep.
So I think that's I think it works. I don't know why you wouldn't think it wouldn't.
No, I absolutely think it works. I think it's great. I'm wondering if Ric Flair, if this is the end, if this is all we've seen of Ric Flair in the feud at all. If this is
they killed him off.
He's been killed off now, basically. I did like how Bautista responded to, I guess.
I'm glad you reminded me of this. I'm going to say it before I forget. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but my favorite part of the whole thing wasn't even involving Bautista.
Okay.
It was Ric Flair's wife. No offense to her, seems like a lovely woman, but because you could tell she had not been on camera in a long time, and she kind of didn't really know what to do with her hands, and then she kind of just does the white lady.
On the dance floor after a couple wines. Yeah, totally.
Pointing to Rick as he's and I was like, oh, God bless her. She's an old white woman.
It was definitely a proper older white woman hype lady.
She was like, okay, what do I do? He's being Ric Flair.
In her defense, I feel like I would be the exact same way in that scenario.
What do you do? Nobody told her. Nobody said what she should be doing.
We're just going to walk down here real fast. It's going to get great. Oh, shit, what do I do with my hands? Yeah, because she can't also start doing it.
No.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I know they didn't tell her what to do. I know they didn't.
She's like, oh, where's my my little duster?
Yeah,
I don't have
Fifi.
that anymore. But yeah, no, I'm really excited about this match. I honestly think that...
I'm glad it's happening, because we were scared it wasn't.
Me too. I think that it's something people want to see at WrestleMania. I think that it's smart because Guardians of the Galaxy comes out right before WrestleMania. Or sorry, not Guardians of the Galaxy. Avengers Endgame comes out right before.
Which hopefully it's not the last time we see Dave Bautista in a Marvel movie.
I'm worried it's going to be though.
I am too. He's really sticking to his guns. Pun intended with the James Gunn thing.
I don't know if I was talking about it on here or if someone else mentioned it to me. Matt, it even been you. But someone said, it was Vinny who told me. Vinny, we were talking about our desk a few weeks ago. He was saying that he thinks that they're gonna, that his guess is Bautista, or Drax outro in this one, right? In Avengers Endgame. But then he joins Suicide Squad that James Gunn is making for DC.
Well, that's been talked about for a while.
I feel like that would make a lot of sense because he's like so loyal to James Gunn.
Yeah, to a point where he would give up being in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I'm all about I'm all about loyalty, but I also went to Disneyland this weekend and I saw Bautista in a freaking Disney ride.
Yeah.
Like Disney ride. That's because of Disney, you know? So I definitely think that I'm very interested to see what happens with him in the Marvel universe as well.
Like me and you were in a movie and then you decide to be a dick and go off to somewhere and like tweet some horrible shit and like but
which could happen.
Which Marvel gonna pay me $500 million to stay in the franchise.
You're probably gonna stay.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't tell you to leave either.
And I don't think James did.
No, I'm sure he didn't. But I also understand where Batista's coming from and wanting to, like, he's passionate dude, and he's passionate.
I love Chris Pratt's just like, I'm trying to make more money.
They put out that joint statement, and then they're like, okay, we're done with it. And Batista's like, no, I'm not done with it.
He's the only one.
He's the only one
who's been like, all right, I'm still doing it. Like
Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, she's like,
they all had that one joint statement and backed off. Batista's just been like banging the drum about it ever since, though. Like, he's definitely not giving up.
Batista's definitely the one that is the one that, like, you like, okay, at 10 o'clock, we're all going to pull our pants down in front of the teacher. And he's the only one that does it.
Have you been on Mission Breakout? The Guardians of the Galaxy ride?
Yeah, of course.
I finally went on it this weekend. It's so cool.
Wow. Erica going on. So what is Erica's gripe with rides? I don't get it. Is she an adult?
No. Okay, so...
Does she know that she's not going to die?
So... Erica's thing with roller coasters and stuff is, or just rides in general, is one, she's Jewish, so it's a very Jewish stomach thing. Like, I grew up around a lot. I have a Jewish family. I get the whole Jew thing of like, okay, they're not great with roller coasters. That's one.
I wouldn't know. But
that's one. Number two is also like so she's got a weak stomach too. But the real thing that gets her,
because I've seen it.
Yes,
it's not, oh, my stomach hurts. It's genuine fear.
So it depends on the ride. So the one she really can't do, that I learned finally, is the ones where there's a screen, like Star Tours.
Well, yeah,
where
those will get most people sick.
Yeah, so she basically, like, she can't do those.
Yeah.
So
I remember when we went, she was sick for literally the entire day.
The rest of the day, yeah. And I learned my lesson after that. So, and then we tried one more time at Universal where she went on the Simpsons one, couldn't hang, and I decided to never go on one of those ones with her again. I think she's getting better because I took her in Cars Land, which is fast, and I took her on Mission Breakout, which she enjoyed. So
There's no way she wanted to go on the Incredicoaster.
I tried. She wouldn't do it. Yeah,
I didn't. That's a big one for her.
Yeah, it's because she can see. She doesn't like. She can see all the stuff, so she gets genuine fear for sure. I'm working on it though. We did we still did most of the rides. Yeah. We still did most of them.
But back to big old Dave. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad it's happening. It's going to be fun. I mean, it's definitely picked up WrestleMania interest for me. That's for sure.
Absolutely. The card's shaping up too. It's definitely starting to shape up.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch today.
I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know, and maybe that's the point, and maybe it's working. Like hook, line, and sinker. It's just like when they did it's like I don't get the company's position because they say they're PG position, but they're not. The little kids follow them. Yeah. You know, and I'm not knocking them for saying this.
No.
I'm not saying.
I mean, we all cussed when we were that age.
No. By all means, I'm not saying it, but it's just weird because WWE, like, won't put that on their shows, but they'll let them tweet about it as much as they want. And it's
you definitely. And it's definitely not all talent who can just tweet cuss words like that.
No. I mean, it's literally like. It's like, oh, don't you wish you had a dick? And then it's like, oh, let's Photoshop your husband's face on it. And
let's read it. So Ronda responded to Becky's mugshot tweet.
Okay, yes.
And she said, she basically said, she called it a fake prison photo, the mugshot. Which obviously
it was.
obviously. So then Becky replies and says, keep that F word out of your mouth and concentrate on getting better at this business instead of trying to remain above it. Looking forward to seeing you real soon. And then she has a screen grab from the room, and it's where Tommy Wiseau's on the top of the roof, and
where he keeps forgetting that line.
Where he keeps forgetting the line, and it's her face, it's Ronda's face photoshopped over Tommy Wiseau, and then it just says Ronnie Wiseau in the background, which I thought was great. And then Ronda comes out of nowhere, and she says, F word? You mean fake? Fake like your nonsensical BS armbar that doesn't even work and just looks like you're holding the dick you wish you had. And then she has the picture of when Ronda attacked, or when Becky attacked her in the dressing room and she's doing the armbar on her. And Becky replies, it does look exactly like one now that you mentioned it. And she photoshopped Ronda's husband Travis Brown's face over the arm, or over the hand.
Which would have been the head of the penis.
And Ronda responded saying, Rebecca Quinn, I don't care what the script says. I'm beating the living shit out of you the next time I see you. And
which is interesting.
Yes.
Because there has been not many instances, there's only been one as far as we can remember, but in terms of the women's locker room interaction with Ronda Rousey's husband, that's been a source of contention in the past. And the fact that they would use that, if they are using it at all, the reason I have a hard time believing it's a shoot is because I don't know anybody who would legitimately want somebody to fight them who is Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Becky Lynch, great wrestler, great entertainer, exactly where she needs to be. Not a judo champion.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I mean, she knows MMA, but she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to go against Ronda Rousey. Obviously not. Ronda Rousey has that killer instinct. She'll kill her.
Which I don't. But the funny part of it to me is Lana's involvement. It's like, what?
She really has been this outside factor that keeps kind of chiming in on everything related to them.
Go away, Ronnie.
What did she say today? I was laughing. She said, I'm trying to pull it up real fast. She said, me praying Becky breaks Ronda's arm in her arm bar.
The Steve Brule gif?
Yeah. Like, she definitely
is inserting herself into this feud.
Very much so. And retweeting them within like a few hours too. Like she's been all over this thing. Yeah, it's been interesting. You say the shoot or work, all that kind of stuff. It's definitely somewhere in the middle.
And it's
because I know that they're not texting each other.
No.
Hey, I'm going to say this, you're going to say this. It's not like WWE writers who are like, hey, you tweet this, you tweet this. Because WWE writers are definitely not telling them to talk about dicks and beating the living shit out of each other. In my opinion, it's more so of like the old school promo that we used to love in wrestling, where it kind of was the wrestler with their own bullet points, knowing where the end game is and trying to help them get there. Cussing is definitely... I also think sometimes cussing is and I cuss too, but I do think that sometimes when you have to cuss instead of have a witty response, you've lost the Twitter battle a little bit.
And I think in terms of is it real? Is it a shoot? I think it's right in the pocket.
Yeah,
I think it's right where it needs to be. It's definitely making the and I love that Lana's even tweeting like, I can't wait for her to submit you like that at WrestleMania. It's like, Lana, she's not part of the match yet. It's like you're jumping ahead of the story a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone pretty much knows it, but yeah, I saw someone else too. I think someone said like Charlotte did a promo at a live event where she said something about beating Ronda and Becky in the main event, and everyone was like, "Wait, but that hasn't been official yet." But everyone knows it's happening. I mean, at this point, it's only a matter of time. I love it when I have people here in the office who are, like Christian watches WWE, but I mean, I would classify him still more as a casual viewer, not like someone who's like hardcore reading every bit of information about wrestling. And even he's come to me like, is this legit? Do they hate each other? Like, is there some heat between them? So when that happens, I feel like they're doing a good job. Like they're doing their job.
Yeah,
they're getting people talking.
Absolutely.
Because I definitely don't think I'll hear one person in this office come up to me at any point before WrestleMania and go like, hey, Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, did you see that thing they did? Like, I don't think anyone's going to say that to me, you know? Bautista will, because he's got the Hollywood mainstream love at this point. But I mean, people are talking about Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey, so they're definitely doing something right. I will say this much, though. The one critique I would also have in this Twitter battle to Ronda, she's got to stop saying wrestling's fake. She's got to stop referring to wrestling as being fake. I know that it's a work.
I didn't know she did that more than
Well,
once.
I mean, she's saying like fake. You mean fake like your nonsensical BS armbar that doesn't even work? Like that's kind of like implying that it's not a real maneuver.
Yes and no. Yes, and maybe that one doesn't work.
You're taking fake prison photos in the hallway.
I don't know. I think that's reaching too far into it. I think that's not really her saying wrestling is fake. I think that's. I think in terms of the armbar, I think it's just saying because she does an armbar. You know, it's like my armbar is effective, yours isn't. You know, and I don't know. I've never had that variation of an armbar, the one that Becky Lynch does, done to me. But. I don't think it's her saying that the business is fake. I don't
either, but she has to kind of stop implying it, because I noticed that seems to be a lot of people the vibe they're getting from it. Like Norman said it to me. She said, "I say wrestling's fake." Christian said it to me. Like I had a few people text me, like people on the roster that replied that she took it that way.
She can't think she's going to get cheered at Mania, does she?
I think they think she's going to get cheered by a certain portion of the crowd at Mania.
I mean.
But this isn't going to help. I mean, this isn't going to get her cheered.
No.
This is definitely not going to get her cheered. I mean, that's one of the things I was thinking while reading that today. I was going like, I'm entertained by this, but none of this gets Ronda Rousey cheered at WrestleMania.
No, and it's, I really...
Unless they don't want her to. I don't know.
I don't know. And it's... and you know what's really frustrating about her promo skills? And it's not that she's bad. She's not bad. It's just... she gets lost sometimes, and her being in her, and you got to be fair. They threw her on the main stage right away.
Yep.
Without a whole lot of time for her to really hone her promo skills, and they threw her into main programs like where promos were required. And I think given time, I think Ronda could get there. I just don't. I think it's kind of unfair. I mean, yes. People are going to call it out. Would that promo that she cut against Stephanie have been better if she hadn't flubbed the end? Yes, it would have been better. 100%.
It sucks because some of those little flubs do get to her and it messes the whole thing up.
Yes, because it's not... Because the one skill Ronda doesn't have yet, and she very well may get it, is... I like to call it rolling after you trip, as opposed to just falling flat.
Yes.
Like she doesn't she's not really good at rolling with a mistake. She is, when she makes a mistake, she knows it and recognizes it immediately and panic. Yep. And she starts to panic, and then she'll lose. And that happens to a lot of people. It happens to anybody, when you've done something.
That's definitely something I mean, the only reason I've gotten good at rolling through that is from like acting in plays as a kid, because at a certain point, after like beating myself up so many times, I realized, because after the play, I'd say to someone like, but I messed up that line. And they'd be like, what line are you talking about? And like, I realized, I was like, oh, only I know when I make a mistake. Like literally, nobody watches does what the script says. Yeah, only I know. And she hasn't mastered the like, only I know. So like, I change one word or a little thing's messed up. It doesn't matter because they don't know what was in the script. Only I do and the writers.
Not a word. It's not even like a movie adaptation. Where I mean, it's not like a book adaptation where it's like something that already had happened. No, it's literally, you could go nuts. And if somebody doesn't like it, you'll get yelled at backstage. But at least the common the common knowledge through the audience is that what happened. And it was supposed to happen.
Yep.
And you really saw Ronda panic.
She's done it a couple times too.
Yes, and it's a shame because wrestling fans, there's a whole saying that people love to build you up, but they love to see you fall just as much. And wrestling fans are and again, we always say wrestling fans. It's not like we're not.
There's a lot of wrestling. Well, a lot of wrestling fans.
Yes, a lot of wrestling fans like to see the downfall of somebody.
Yeah.
And
I was actually thinking about this today. That same topic, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, like, wrestling's a really brutal business. And it's very similar to, like, acting, like the entertainment world, where, like, you really only have, like, such a short window to, like, from when you're a beginner to when you have a chance to become relevant. And if like that window passes, or if you stumble along the way, like it's going to take a long time to get back there. I mean, and it's interesting how that happens. I was thinking like Kofi Kingston, for example, like one little thing and it's taken
That's why this whole
5 years.
thing is scaring me, because if they don't pull the trigger with Kofi this year, it's not going to happen again.
Oh, definitely not.
It's not going to happen.
I'm my outrage meter is at its lowest because I really feel like they finally realized that, and they were like, people are getting pissed if we.
But it's also organic, and they've only pulled the trigger on somebody who is organic once.
Daniel Bryan.
And that scares me, because you've seen what happens when somebody gets big organically.
Yeah, but I don't think they just pull him from the match like that openly when everyone's cheering for him. Like, it was different when he got pulled from matches back in the day because he wasn't at that level. It wasn't like this big momentum for Kofi Kingston. So I truly believe that it was going to be Kevin Owens versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. And they were like, you know what? It makes way more sense to do Kofi at WrestleMania. Let's just swap them around. Let's have Kevin Owens wrestle him at Fastlane, and it'll probably be a 3-way. Although
I don't need it.
I don't need it, but then what do you do? It would suck for Owens after having like a strong return title match to lose and then not have a WrestleMania.
It would kind of be weird it would kind of fuck with his momentum, because I thought, even though it didn't really hurt him in the long run, I thought that did help. I thought that did fuck with Samoa Joe's momentum at first when he first came back, because remember, he debuted right before Mania, but it was right before, so he didn't have a match.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, but then now there's like this whole program and maybe 2.5 months of no Samoa Joe to speak of, really. And I think that if they don't do something with Kevin Owens, it's going to be the same.
Totally.
You know?
The only thing I was thinking is that maybe that's why they announced Sami Zayn too, and that even though they were like boys when they both got hurt, as you know, storyline purposes, that he'll come back and be the good guy, Sami Zayn again, and they'll do Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. But I don't know if I want to see that.
I don't know if I to be honest, I don't know if I want to see heel Sami Zayn.
You liked him better as a face?
Don't get me wrong. KO and Sammy together were very fun, and how could they not be? They know each other extremely well, and they've created amazing moments together in the past for years. But I just, if you had to give me both, I'd prefer Sammy the way he was in NXT, which again doesn't really add a whole lot of layers to him, but he hasn't really. And this isn't a knock to Sami Zayn whatsoever, because I love Sami Zayn. I think he's one of the best out right now. He just hasn't done anything other than the original Sami Zayn that has shown me anything that's made me interested.
That makes sense. See, I liked his heel run. I was into it.
I didn't hate it. It didn't do anything for me. It didn't. Like, if it wasn't with Kevin, it wouldn't have been anything.
I think that's fair.
To me.
I think that's fair. I also feel like having him come back against Owens doesn't make as much sense as having him come back against Lashley after WrestleMania, because Lashley's the one who injured him.
You know why?
Or,
yes, and you know why it didn't work for me? It was because they didn't book him as a heel properly.
That's fair. That's fair.
Because they booked him to be a heel, whereas like a Drew McIntyre would be a heel. Well, not the same, because Drew's a little more imposing.
Yeah.
But when I say they're booked the same way, Sammy isn't seen as somebody he wasn't booked as somebody who's like, just escaping by the skin of his teeth by winning.
No.
But that's how he should have been.
Yes, that's my favorite Sami Zayn.
But he wasn't booked that way.
I even like when he's can't win. I liked can't win Sami Zayn in NXT.
He wasn't booked that way.
No, definitely not.
And that's
he was like a smaller Christian.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You know, he was kind of like the second fiddle to someone else.
A smaller Christian indeed.
Yeah. Okay, so lastly, I want to talk about this interview with Undertaker, because, man, did you watch this by any chance?
No.
It is so fascinating to see Undertaker out of character. Like, it's so fascinating to me. In the interview, it's with it's the second one he has done with Pastor Ed Young of the Fellowship Church in North Texas. And
is this like the second or third religious thing he's
second
done?
one he's done. And he actually talks about getting religious in this interview, and it was fascinating to me. And I am not a religious guy, but he basically says that he grew up Catholic, but that he was never a religious dude, and that I think his brother and his siblings went to Catholic school. He did.
Kane went to Catholic school.
He did say his siblings, and he said, my brother, my sister, and when I see them, and I was thinking, what are you talking about? That's not Kane.
There's no sister.
What do you guys have never mentioned a sister? Did she burn alive too and come back?
I did write. I would be amiss to say I didn't write a fan fiction or two in 4th grade about a long lost sister.
Good.
Continue.
But he talks about, it's crazy. He says that that when he met Michelle McCool, that he was, he's the Undertaker. He's like, he seems like a demonic dude. And she basically told him that she didn't really want to be involved. She didn't really want to mess with him at all, because not even relation. She didn't want to have any relation to him at all, even friends, because she felt like he was kind of like a demonic presence. And he kind of let it be known to her that it's just a character. He likes tattoos, but it's just a character. And then he grew up Catholic or whatever. And so she said, well, come to church with me. And he was like, shit, I don't want to go to church. It's going to suck. I got to get on my knees. My knees have had surgery. I don't want to go. And then he was like,
that's his reasoning.
Yeah, he said, man, I had 17 surgeries. I wasn't trying to get on those church pews.
That's funny.
And so he was saying that, but then he went there and he realized that that's not what it was. It wasn't like Catholic school growing up. It wasn't like going to a Catholic church. And it really touched him, and he gets emotional talking about it, and he's about to start crying, talking about getting into religion and all of this stuff. And you're like, wow, that's crazy to hear the Undertaker talking about getting into religion, and just because of the mental image you have, not even the mental, just the actual image you have of the Undertaker,
right? Which I guess we're not going to get any more crucifixions.
Oh, I would say so. He said that. The other part
that's probably the part of his career that he looks back on and he doesn't like is the Ministry of Darkness.
I'm sure that's probably why Michelle McCool was said that initially too.
He spoke in tongues.
Yeah. And the part where he gets emotional is him basically saying that he had gone down a path of he was not living his full best life basically, and in meeting Michelle and her introducing the church to his life, it led him down a path of being the person he wants to be. And I was like, man, that's great. That's when he kind of got emotional and stuff. And then at the end, it's the pastor offers, because they're at a giant pastor convention basically. Mm-hmm. So there's 2,500 pastors in the room that he's talking to, which in itself is crazy. To think of Undertaker, who has done a crucifixion in tongues, is speaking to a group of pastors.
I've been to enough stand-ups where I know to keep my mouth shut right now.
And so the pastor says, well, I'd like to pray for you and your family. And he goes, man, he says something like, man, Michelle told me before I left the house that if I was in a room with 2,500 pastors and I didn't have them pray for me and my family, that I was not allowed back home. So that's great to hear. Thank you so much. And then this whole room of pastors is praying for the Undertaker. It's the craziest thing. It's such a...
That is well.
Because
some people even just, I mean, my family and me aren't like this, but there are people who even just the imagery, just something that has any demonic connotation whatsoever. I used to hook up with this girl whose parents were very, very devout Christian, I think very much in the sense where Michelle was very put off by the demonic imagery that the Undertaker had. I was in Mexico once and we were seeing each other and I brought her back a sugar skull and it freaked her out and it freaked her parents out.
No way.
Yeah. What? And she had to get it blessed before she would her parents let her put it in her room.
Wait, she had to get the sugar skull blessed?
Yeah.
What? I couldn't picture you dating a girl or hooking up with a girl that religious. Yeah, I was gonna say
it didn't last long because I was like, God, if it's gonna start with just this, we have a long way to go.
You're I love Halloween. How is that gonna work out?
Halloween's gonna be terrible.
Yeah, so it's also interesting in the interview. It's fascinating in the interview to me when he talks about why he kept kayfabe alive for so long with his character, and he basically says it's an obvious answer, but he basically says that he wanted people to think he was dead. That he wanted people to actually question, people who knew that it's fake or a work or whatever. People that he wanted those people to be well, could that guy be dead?
Well, that's why he's the one who is the Undertaker, is because he has that mystique because he did that for so many years.
It's 28 years, something like that.
Yes.
And he literally said he just wanted people to believe, and so...
if you walk, and Taker in his prime, 96, 95, if you had seen him at the airport, it's not that different from what he was probably wearing at the arena.
Well, there's that famous picture of him with his grandma, where he's in the duster and the hat and the black glasses. One of the best pictures ever.
Yes.
I even saw a thing the other day I want to say it was on
Like
Reddit.
I've seen so many old photos people upload of them like getting fake photos of them in the Undertaker at the airport, and he's like kind of dressed like the American Badass.
Yeah, I saw one where he was at the a hotel. I saw one the other day. Someone uploaded where it was him and Paul Bearer in the hotel, and they're like, you clearly two fans that caught him like walking back to his room in the hallway, and Paul Bearer is like in a pink shirt, button up shirt, his normal
Paul never kept
jeans, and he's next to Undertaker, who's in full like Undertaker mode the whole time.
The bandana, the sunglasses, a black jeans.
I think he's got the hat. I think he's got the hat and everything. Like
black jeans, black shirt, black everything.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, it's crazy to think that a guy of Undertaker stature, who has been around for almost 30 years, it's crazy that there's really only like a handful of interviews with him.
Yes, and I think that's by design.
It is. No, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what he says in this interview, that he wanted that question to be alive about him. That's crazy.
That's why when you see him do outside shit, it's so like, what the hell? Like when he did that random country music nomination thing,
or that Bad Bunny thing.
That
the
Bad
other day.
Bunny thing. What the hell? I don't ever want to hear the Undertaker say the word bunny ever again.
Hey, it's the dead man.
Hey,
Bad Bunny.
Bunny.
Hey, Bad Bunny, it's the dead
I
man.
think you should do that show in Puerto Rico.
It's like, what? When I saw him, because he appeared in the opening intro video for Post Malone's show, that I was like, he's becoming a little too much of a person, but he was the Undertaker at least.
Yeah.
Like because I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I saw it.
Yeah, he just like runs into him backstage and he grabs him by the neck.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like that's fine.
Yeah.
He was the Undertaker.
Yeah.
I assumed he chokeslammed him.
I assume the Undertaker choke slams people in his daily life.
Yes, but him saying
Bunny.
like the
Hey,
Undertaker's
Bad Bunny, it's the dead man.
The Undertaker's legitimately upset that the Bad Bunny didn't play a show in Puerto Rico.
That is the thought of that, of him just being pissed, looking at his phone or scrolling through
no.
Instagram.
Oh, Bad Bunny's not doing that show in Puerto Rico. Damn. Hey, Bad Bunny. I'm glad I have this Instagram page now, so you can see this.
I will say this much. I kind of am enjoying. As much as I would have been okay with Undertaker keeping kayfabe the rest of his life, I'm kind of enjoying learning more of like who the Undertaker is.
Yes and no. Because he really doesn't like it if you kneel for the flag. So I wasn't really like,
Hey, you know what? People have different opinions.
Yes.
You know.
I don't need to find out more about that part of the Undertaker.
I don't know. I kind of like him showing off guns and
that is fine. That is fine.
I mean, it's just he's from it's a dude from Texas who loves guns.
I'm
I
just
assume
saying-
he's not kneeling for the flag or okay with people who are.
Yes, and I get that.
Yeah.
And I get that. And I'm all for people having their opinions.
Yeah.
But as soon as he starts talking a little like Ted Nugent, I'm going to be a little like upset.
Yeah, I went and looked through like some of his follows once, and I was like, these are some interesting follows. Like, but yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
He hasn't done that yet, thank God. But would you be shocked if he did?
No, he'll do. I hope he doesn't have full access to his social media. I do think that. He that reminded me of something.
Because he's right wing, he's a Republican, but he's religious now.
Yeah. It's a whole thing. Yeah, true. You're right. Don't give him a podcast.
No.
Don't give the Undertaker a podcast.
I don't want to
please.
meet that hero.
I did think it was funny in this interview though. He did do like a little bit of like a Hulk Hogan impression for like 2 seconds. Like he was talking about back in the day, and he was like, "Yeah, when I was coming up, it was all about well, let me tell you something, brother." And I was like, "Well, it's so weird to hear like Undertaker doing a Hulk Hogan impression."
The Undertaker.
Yeah, totally. All right, well that was. Oh wait, I should mention this before we head out. We should give a special mention, a little rest in peace to the Invisible Man.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have laughed.
Also a sad story in wrestling this week, the death of the Invisible Man, and I might be interviewing Joey tomorrow, possibly. So
Hey, all credit to Joey for being able to do an interview so close to this tragic loss.
yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it if I had lost someone so close to me in my life at that close to when it happened. But yeah, obviously, Invisible Man, you were a legend. Rest in peace, my man.
They go too soon.
Jamie, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at JAMIE_IOVINE or on Instagram at JAMIEIOVINE. Or you could catch me and my stable. That is me and Royce Isaacs, current television champion and double platinum, the current, because they just won them this past Sunday, current tag team champions. You'll see that on a future taping. I don't mean to be a spoiler, but I'm sorry.
They already posted a picture of it.
Yeah, the turnaround is not great.
It's very NXT-esque in that regard.
Yes, and and then we're just.
And that's Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, by the way.
Yes, champion. I was about to say, every week on the Fight app for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and Heather Monroe just joined us, so very glad to have her aboard. And
Did you guys change your name?
I don't think we changed it, but I think we have a name now.
Oh, you have an official name now?
I think
because I saw it tweeted with Heather in the picture. And I liked it. What was it?
Upper Class?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah. I liked that one.
All right, fine.
That was out of all the names I've seen, you tell me and ones I've seen out there, Upper Class seems to be the best one. Okay, and I like your new No Limit Soldiers vibe.
And well, it was more so about Soulja Boy when he was on Breakfast Clubs yelling about Drake. That's more so what it was.
That's much more current reference.
Yes.
Sorry.
But yeah, you can catch us every week on the Fight app every Sunday. And also sign up to the network, the shopping app there that I developed with my buds. That's network at NTWRK. We do a drop almost every week. We just did one with Guess and 88 Rising, which did really, really well.
Those were cool.
We did one with Maddie Matheson, and we have some stuff coming up with the NBA, with Family Guy, a bunch of stuff. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, so check out the app.
All right. Well, you can find everything we're doing here at Pro Wrestling Sheet at ProWrestlingSheet.com, at Wrestling Sheet on social media. You can find me. I'm at Ryan Satin. And if you want to watch the video, if you're listening to this, then you can go to youtube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet to see the video. That's where we do the Raw and Smackdown recaps. That's where we do this show. That's where we do a bunch of other fun videos. So make sure you guys go check that out as well. And if you're watching on there, hello, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. While you're here, though, make sure you subscribe below. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment. I read them all. I like to hear what you guys think about our conversation. I read all of you guys getting mad at me for touching my hair too much during the show. I read them all. So make sure you guys keep doing that. Make sure you like the video. Don't be a dick and dislike the video. Just like the video. I appreciate it. And if you really enjoyed the show, make sure you share it as well on social media, wherever it helps us spread the word. Okay, that's it. We're done. Officially tapping out for now. Until next time, stay out of the dirt and keep your eye on the sheet.